Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Our Health is Our Wealth with the WellMed Charitable Foundation Caregiver Teleconnection. Today, we're at part 2, physical activity, and Dr. Elliot Montgomery Sklar is going to be our main speaker. I want to tell you a little bit about Dr. Sklar. Excuse me. He's a public health professional focused upon supporting the health of the public through academic work, research, and service. He has led healthy aging programs for seniors and for caregivers in Canada, the US, and on the web. Dr. Sklar is an associate professor of healthcare sciences at Nova Southeastern University in Florida. He publishes and presents his work internationally, which is focused on the complexity of issues related to aging and caregiving. And with that, Elliot, would you like to go ahead and start?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Evelyn. And welcome, everyone. Lucy Barylak sends regrets this morning as she has been my co-host for this series and had to attend to an emergency appointment. So I'm very excited personally to be here facilitating our program today, not just because I just came from the gym this morning, but if you have participated in our programs before, you know that I'm a very, very big advocate for physical activity and the benefits of physical activity, not only for caregivers, but for care recipients as well. We see so many ads on television for medication, and I was thinking about this as putting this presentation together, but I've never seen one advertisement anywhere that promotes physical activity to improve our health and our well-being. Because it's free and no one stands to gain from your well-being more than you do. So keep that in mind. Exercise is really proven to help support our mental health, our immune health, which has been so important during the COVID pandemic, our cardiovascular, and it's also proven to help improve certain health conditions. Yet again, never once did I hear anyone say anything about exercising or eating right as a way to boost our immune health during the pandemic. So before we go into the how, because as Evelyn said before we began, we hear so much information about why we should be exercising, and I'm not going to be standing on a soapbox today. I'm going to talk about the how, because many of us have practical challenges that get in the way. And we always learn so much from our participants. And if you've been a participant of some of our recent programs, then you might recognize Myra, who is with us this morning. And we'll be doing a little spotlight on her experience recently with physical activity as well.
And you might recognize Lucy, who just joined us. Hey! How are you doing, Lucy? You're smiling.
I'm sorry. Yeah, had an appointment, a dental appointment.
We were worried.
Thank you.
Well, welcome. We were just getting started, and I was just mentioning that it's important for everyone to speak with a doctor or a health specialist before beginning any kind of exercise program. For example, physical therapy can be ideal in helping a person with certain restrictions or health issues to get started on a focused exercise routine that's best for your body and your health. So certain health insurance plans also cover fitness programs, and it's equally as important to check with your insurance to see what you might be covered for. I also want to remind everyone that when we talk about exercise, we're not telling you that you should get out there and run a marathon. For example, something as basic as stretching is such an important and overlooked part of what should be a part of our daily routine. Stretching is so important as we age, and there are forms of exercise like Tai Chi, which focus on flow and movement, and they don't cause you to break a sweat. There are also things that you can do in bed, and even using a tennis ball to roll against a wall can help to massage and stretch out our muscles. So stretching is a great place to start, and there are online videos actually that show you how to do this from anywhere that you are. You really have to find something that works for you, and we're going to talk about that today, because if you make a habit of something that you enjoy, then you're more likely to stick to it and to reap a benefit from it long term. Now, I'm really lucky because I happen to enjoy exercise. I find that taking walks and going for bike rides helps to clear my mind. But I've also seen the impact of things that I do at the gym. And in the last year, I've taken up Pilates, and my own health has improved. My blood pressure has gone down, my A1C, my cholesterol, my triglycerides, and less knee pain. So all of that keeps me going. And it's important, that we know our bodies. And I respect that everyone knows their bodies best in the process. So as we age, we may have some increased concerns about the risk of dementia, naturally, and you might have some questions about what you can do to prevent it. Now, this is very important as the number of older Americans is rising, and so the number of people with dementia is predicted to increase. Some studies have actually shown that rates of dementia, meaning new cases in a population over a period of time, have decreased in some locations, including in the United States, based upon observational studies of factors such as healthy lifestyle behaviors. So it's important, to know that these things don't prove, but it does show a connection between behavior and reduced risk. So we don't know if these factors might be linked, but it does suggest that. And a review of published research evaluated evidence from clinical trials on behavior and lifestyle change to delay or prevent Alzheimer's and age-related cognitive decline. And the review found encouraging evidence for 3 types of behavioral change. So one of them was physical activity, and the other, blood pressure control, which happens as we engage in more physical activity, and cognitive training. So exercising the brain, doing things like crossword puzzles, math. So it was certainly an encouraging finding. Other research has found in a strange parallel that men who use Viagra regularly had a lower incidence of developing Alzheimer's and dementia, which researchers are looking into. Now, we know that Viagra promotes blood flow in the body, which is similar, if you think about it, to what exercise does. So there is a lot of different research that's showing that as we increase circulation in our body and decrease inflammation, there may be a positive effect in terms of our cognition, which I think is important.
Thank you for that. I want to talk about strokes can be extremely serious. According to CDC, 1 in 6 deaths from cardiovascular disease in 2020 was due to a stroke. Furthermore, every 40 seconds, someone in the US has a stroke, and every 3.5 minutes, someone dies of a stroke. Vacuuming, mopping, walking a pet, or playing catch may be enough activity to avoid a stroke, believe it or not. So we're talking about just being active. Doctors found that doing daily household chores can significantly reduce the risk of a stroke. A new study from the San Diego State University, published in the Journal of American Medical Association, a network open, found that doing lighter intensity daily activities as found in household chores can significantly reduce the risk of a stroke. So I think we should encourage the men in our lives to do a little bit more housekeeping.
I love it.
Yeah, this research measured both the amount of time participants were seated and the duration and intensity of physical activity in 7,600 adults ages 45 and older, and then compared the data to the incidence of strokes in participants over 7 years. They found those who sit for 13 hours or more a day have a 44% increased risk of having a stroke. So I guess they're saying that sitting is worse than smoking. I'm not sure, something like that. Yeah. Research across the board shows also that caregiving can have negative impacts about the health of caregivers. And yet exercise is rarely made a focus of something that caregivers can in fact do to help manage their own health. So I think it's really, really important that we kind of look at that. So according to the Family Caregiver Alliance, caregivers are in worse health, unfortunately. About 1 in 10, 11% caregivers report that caregiving has caused their physical health to get worse. 48 caregivers also reported chronic conditions, including heart attack, heart disease, cancer, diabetes, and arthritis, at nearly twice the rate of non-caregivers, 44 versus 24%. 52 caregivers suffered from increased rates of physical ailments, including acid reflux, headaches, and pain. 53 increased tendency to develop serious illnesses, and 54 had high levels of obesity and bodily pain. 55 of them. The physical stress of caregiving can affect the physical health of caregivers, especially when providing care for someone who cannot transfer themselves out of bed, walk, or bathe without assistance. 10% of primary caregivers reported they have physical strain. Caregivers have lower levels of self-care, and we know that. So this is why we're talking about exercise. Caregivers' self-care suffers because they lack the time, the energy, and preparing proper meals, or to and also to exercise. That they're eating 65% and exercising 58%. Habits are worsened than before they started to be caregivers. I'm just having a bit of an issue here with my form. So despite all that, we know that there's very little talk about the importance of encouraging exercise for caregivers, which is a natural antidote to stress, depression, anxiety, and chronic health conditions. And this is what Elliot and I have been saying for the last 10 years. So I hope that everyone takes that into consideration, that exercise does not mean you have to go to the gym.
Absolutely. So I mentioned earlier that we were joined today by a very special participant whom I wanted to spotlight because Myra has shared with us her caregiving journey previously and how she has recently engaged in exercise and how that has helped her. So Myra, I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself, if you don't mind sharing a little bit about your caregiving experience at present, and tell us about your exercising.
Thank you, Elliot. I'm from New Jersey. I am the caregiver for my mother who has Alzheimer's. This is my 5th year as a caregiver. Mom is 84. She also has a non-aggressive form of cancer that is under control. Mom lives with me. My gym membership had been frozen for 5 years. I kept going back every 3 months and asking them to freeze the membership. And as we all know, caregiving is a really long journey and a difficult one with a lot of challenges. And caregiving itself has stages, just as a disease does. And I am concerned for all the things that Lucy just highlighted about my health, my eating, my emotional state. And I know everyone tells us you have to take care of yourself. And that's always something so hard when we hear that, because we say how. But I'm going to tell you not to give up on yourself, to find exercise and other activities that you like Hansel and Gretel did with the little breadcrumbs. Keep a little string to your future. So I decided that I was going to do some exercise. And it has made a big difference. I started on March 21st. I'm taking baby steps, try to do it a few days a week. And it has made a big difference on my emotional state. The first day that I did it, I felt like Rocky. And you have to also take it easy on yourself. So you do what you can. If it's a YouTube video, if it's a home, if it's just drinking water, but do not give up on yourself. It has made a big difference on me. I'm breathing better. I feel better. I feel that there's hope. that I can go to my future. I want to do the journey. I want to be there for my mother, but I need to take care of myself to take care of her. But I also want that when my journey ends as a caregiver, that I'm still standing and in good health.
What kind
You
of
said that-
exercises did you do, Myra?
So I'm a spinner. So I actually like to go to the gym and do the spin classes. And the other thing is you have to be gentle with yourself, right? So I used to go 5 years ago, 5 days a week, right? Plus other activities. So now I just go 3 days a week. And I am going to put on the chat something that I had bought that I did a little bit last year. And then, as you know, with caregiving, there's always interruptions. I found a folding bicycle from Costco that was very easy to assemble. And it's something really great. And I find that it does the job while you're watching TV, and you could do a few minutes a day. So I do have that bike. I do have a hobby, which is flamenco dancing from Spain. And I was able to get my partner to stay with my mother 2 days a week. Now, there's always a bit of a compromise, right? So when I go to my flamenco class, I can't take as many classes as the peers in my class. I don't participate in the performances, but I am at least keeping something that I love about me. So that's what I'm saying. Don't lose yourself. Don't give up on yourself. When you have the moments and you can find the time, take it. You know, nowadays maybe while they're taking a nap, there's cameras that if you want to walk around the block and you can monitor them while they're taking a nap, find the ways. And there's no one more resourceful and more flexible than us caregivers.
So true. So true. Thank you so much for sharing all that you have. And you put that in such a beautiful package. You talked about the why, the how, all of it. And I was wondering if anyone participating has any comments or questions or anything that they would like to share.
So if you're on the phone, please press *6, or you can unmute yourself, put your hand up, go on chat. We'd love to hear from you. We had such a good time last week when everybody was participating in the nutrition session. We're hoping we get the same kind of participation today. And Elliot, I love the spotlight. Okay. Do you want to take it, Elliot?
Yeah, we'll keep going.
Well, we have one from Diane Wagner.
Oh, I didn't see that. I'm trying to do a workout class every day if I can. That's wonderful.
Yoo-hoo.
Well, I'd like to share during the pandemic, and even now, and everybody knows, especially Evelyn knows this, that I would dance in my living room. And I have to tell you, just putting on the music, at first it was kind of self-conscious. Here I am, wanting to dance by myself. It was amazing. It lifted up my spirits, and it also gave me a good half hour of really good exercise. So it doesn't have to be, just be creative, do something that you really enjoy. And thank you so much, Myra, for your presentation. You are an inspiration.
Completely. And I think it was last week you had shared something with us, and it actually inspired me to get my butt to the gym that day. I was going to take the day off, and I felt, I'm going to do it. And Diane just posted a little icon of a flamenco dancer in our chat. We just want to encourage you to keep on going, and I want to thank you so much for everything you've shared with us. I mentioned ahead of our hour that I see you've been smiling a lot more in the last few weeks, and whatever you're doing, just keep doing it.
Thank you. And to caregivers, if you haven't been attending these sessions, they've made a world of a difference for me. So I highly recommend it, and even to listen to the previous recordings as well.
I will hire you to be the president of our fan club.
I'm in. I accept the job.
Thank you so much for all of your sharing, and you're welcome to continue sharing as we go today. I wanted to ask if people have heard of the SilverSneakers program. It is an exercise program for sneakers.
Sneaky seniors.
For seniors, wow. For seniors, that has been around for a very long time, actually. I didn't know this, but there are more SilverSneakers partner programs than there are Starbucks locations in the United States. So it's quite an amazing network that they have. And SilverSneakers partners with gyms everywhere, but they also have an app now and customizable workouts that you can do in home. So I think that that's really an incredible option. The SilverSneakers program is offered at no additional cost to people 65 plus on Medicare plans. So that might be a great way to help get you started. It's also a nice way to know that a gym that you might be looking to in your neighborhood is also catering to seniors. Many of the gyms that are partners with SilverSneakers have specific programs and classes designed for seniors and for people with different kinds of mobility limitations. So the app as well, the online access gives you classes as well. And they're also personalized, like I was saying. So if you are on an eligible Medicare plan, you might already be eligible. So we've included the link to the SilverSneakers program below so that you can see if it might be available to you for free. Diane, thank you. Haven't heard. Thank you for sharing. YouTube has great free exercise videos and Billy Blank's Tybo videos. That's great too, yes. So speaking of free videos, we do also have those to share with you. And remember, everyone, that anyone who registered today will get a copy of our presentation. There are online videos from the National Institute on Aging, which are free, and you can access them here at the link that is embedded in this slide, which we'll provide with our resources as well today. If you scroll to the bottom half of their YouTube page, they have a number of different free instructional videos that are designed specifically for seniors and that you can do at home that focus on balance, stretching, mobility. Some of them you can do with your care recipient. And I can show you what that looks like here. So this is just a sample. I did not share the audio because I didn't think it was very important, but I just want to advance in to show you what some of the exercise looks like, if I can. I don't think I can, but that's okay. You'll get it with your resources today. And the key here is that the videos are really short. They're only 15 minutes and that they are available free, like I said, for any number of different issues that you're looking to address, like balance, stretching, mobility. And again, the best part is you don't need respite care. It's something you can do free at home. So almost anyone at any age can do some type of physical activity. And you can still exercise if you have health conditions like heart disease, arthritis, chronic pain, high blood pressure, diabetes. In fact, physical activity might help. But for most people, we think of these things as impediments or things that, you know, perhaps should limit our ability to exercise. And unfortunately, I see that all too often. I think also there's a lot of stigma that exists around exercise, and I wanted to talk about that for a moment. Because for most older adults, physical activity like brisk walking, riding a bike, swimming, weightlifting, gardening, these are all safe things to do, especially if you build up slowly. But I think people shy away from gyms sometimes because of stigma, and it's a significant barrier. Certainly for younger people who are overweight, as an example, who may not feel as comfortable at a gym. Up until recently, actually, it was pretty hard to find workout clothes in plus size because most athletic and athleisure wear is made for thinner people. But people of all ages need to exercise and can benefit from it. So there's also racial stigma and gender stigma as it relates to physical activity. I've heard a lot of people actually talk about the gym that I go to as not being as welcoming for women. And I did notice actually after my trainer, who is a woman at the gym, was mentioning that to me, that many of the people that are there happen to be male. And I thought maybe it was just the time of the day that I was going. But that's why I guess Curves, if you remember Curves, it was a fitness program and gym specifically for women, because it was felt that people were more comfortable in that environment. So there's a long history, that exercise was something that men should do, like weightlifting, ballet, and dance were things that women did. But that history is no longer true. And if you're older or come from a diverse background in which fitness was maybe not emphasized or not part of your upbringing, don't let that stop you. Just as we've heard today, how much better a quality of life fitness can give you. We also see a lot of health disparities. And in part, this can be attributed to some of the stigma issues that I'm talking about. For example, Black people have a lower life expectancy and more chronic health conditions, and they also report less exercise. Now, this is also true for other people in other populations. So it really should not be this way. And I think it's important that we start to really help to change that. If you have difficulty bending or moving easily or feel self-conscious, try different activities. You can start with walking, water exercises if you're comfortable in a swimsuit. Some people aren't. Dancing, like Lucy said, or weightlifting if that's what you enjoy. Do what works for you. Anything that gets you moving, that makes you feel good, even if it's just for a few minutes. It is the start of something that you can build upon. And I was wondering if anyone had any comments or reactions to what I'm saying. You see, we have some chat. I miss Curves. So I've never known how to pronounce this properly, if it's bar or I think it is. It's a kind of workout class. Yeah, bar. So bar classes usually have tons of women. That's probably why I don't know how to pronounce it. I am one of the few people at my reformer Pilates studio that is of the male gender, but I do see that changing. So I do appreciate your comment. My husband does it with me and is usually the only man. Yeah. So what I'm saying is it's not far from people's life and real experiences. So let's change that.
Yes, should. Well, I would like to talk about, are we good?
Yes.
Okay. So like the research I shared earlier, researchers are assessing the benefit of exercise to delay mild cognitive impairment in older adults and to improve brain function in older adults who may be at risk to develop Alzheimer's or any other form of dementia. Older adults with cognitive impairments may be able to safely do more vigorous forms of exercise, similar to older adults without cognitive impairment, provided there are no other underlying health concerns. The reason that it's so important is as soon as when someone has any form of dementia, all of a sudden there's that sense that they're very, very frail or they need to be taken care of. So what they're saying really is that exercise, regardless of their cognitive impairment, can be very beneficial. Being active and getting exercise may help people with Alzheimer's or dementia to feel better and can help them maintain a healthy weight and have regular bathroom and sleep habits. If you are a caregiver, you can exercise together to make it more fun. I've always encouraged that. So has Elliot, that exercising with the person you're caring for can be an activity that you do together. So let's look at tips for helping a person with dementia stay active. So obviously, take a walk together each day. Exercise is good for caregivers too. We know that. Use exercise videos. We talked about that as well to see if there's a program to help older adults exercise. Dance to music. Okay, I'm a big promoter of that. It's great. Be realistic about how much activity can be done at one time. Several short mini workouts may be best for you. So you have to kind of gauge it. Make sure they wear comfortable clothes, the person you're caring for, and shoes that fit well and are made for exercise. Make sure they drink water or juice after every exercise, and so should you. Even if the person has trouble walking, they may be able to do simple tasks around the home. I mean, that's, as we said before, it's exercise, maybe helping you with household chores as well. Use a stationary bike if possible. Use soft rubber exercise balls or balls for stretching or throwing back and forth. That's a great exercise to do. It's an activity that they could very well enjoy with you. Use stretching bands. Those are the ones that kind of, you can do it to music. And I also promote exercising in a chair. You can both be sitting in a chair, lifting your arms, lifting your hands, moving your head around, or light weights or household items such as soap cans, not soap cans, but soup cans are very good, just making sure that it's nice. So I think what I'm trying to say is, besides the exercise, benefits of exercise, it's a real nice activity that you can do with the person you're caring for, besides doing caregiving chores for them. So you can engage with them and they can participate with you, and there could be a lot of enjoyment for both of you.
And look how well exercise is working for our cognition. We can't even pronounce our words properly today.
I just came from the dentist, so you'll have to excuse me. I'm kind of slurring my words a bit.
I believe humor is a key to everything. So,
Absolutely.
So a lot of people with arthritis feel that should be a red light for them not to exercise, when in fact, that is the opposite. But I can appreciate why that might be. So exercise can help with weight loss, with joint pain, with stiffness, which reduces stress on the joints altogether. Flexibility exercises specifically for people with arthritis are very important, as well as upper and lower body stretching. I mentioned Tai Chi earlier. That can keep the joints moving. There's someone at my Pilates who has arthritis, and we're usually on a carriage next to each other, and she calls it oiling up her joints. That's what she calls her exercise, but it is true. She finds that it relieves inflammation, helps to relieve stiffness, and research shows this, that it does give you more freedom of everyday movement. So stretching and strengthening exercises are very important. Think about overarm raises. So take a bottle of water. You can do bicep curls. Well, these are tricep curls. You can do bicep curls. You can do a bunch of different things. And those videos that I referred earlier through the National Institute of Health show you a bunch of things you can do with things at home. So endurance as well is important. Things like walking, biking, getting on an elliptical. Endurance exercises make the heart and arteries healthier, which may lessen swelling in the joints. Many people don't connect those things, and it's very important. I remember I've had 2 knee surgeries. I've torn both ACLs, and the best physical therapist I ever went to, we never worked on my knees. We worked on everything else that supports the knees. So many people think that arthritis is specific to your wrist or to the joint that might be hurting you, but actually circulation is really key in helping to relieve swelling and inflammation. So it's very important that you exercise. And I know that might not be comfortable at first, but try things slowly. We've talked about Tai Chi, yoga is great. Getting in a pool is wonderful because the lack of gravity in the water can be very helpful to relieve some of the stiffness or tension that you may be feeling in your joints. So there's lots of ways to exercise with arthritis, just as there are with type 2 diabetes. And exercise can help you manage the disease and stay healthy longer. Walking, as an example, and other forms of daily exercise help to improve glucose levels in older people. Now, it's important to set a goal to be more active most days of the week. Consistency is very important here. You also have to create a plan that fits your life and that, that you can follow. We know, as we say always, that caregivers need to have flexibility. So think about things that you can build into your routine. Walking up and down the stairs, stretching during TV commercial breaks, walking around at home when you're talking on the phone rather than sitting, parking a little further away when you go to the grocery store, things like that. All of that can be very helpful. As can comments from our audience, and we have a great one here. I have a bike peddler that my mom can use while sitting in a chair, and we have also done light hand weights together while watching TV. That's awesome. Last summer, she would get on the bike peddler, and I would get on the folding exercise bike next to her. I need to start this up again if she can still do it. That's great. Another wonderful thing that you can do is get some balloons at the dollar store, and you can toss a balloon back and forth. It's actually excellent for coordination, for balance. It's easy, lightweight. You don't have to store it. You can just pop it and blow up a new one the next time you feel like doing it. But there's so many things that we can do, and we don't recognize how important all of that is.
So Elliot, did you see Minerva's?
Yes, I did. And I was going to say that as well, that we were just having a chat prior to this. If you have YouTube on your Fire Stick or your smart TV and you'd like to do some dancing exercises, look up the Cupid Shuffle or the Cha-Cha Slide song. It's fun and you're working out at the same time, and they are a lot of fun. So great tip, Minerva. I want to thank you. And we also talked about the importance of music. Pandora is a free app that you can get on your phone. I use Spotify as well. I love working out to music. Today on the elliptical, it was 80s dance and R&B, so I was having a lot of fun. But these are all things that we do to make ourselves feel better, and it's really important, especially when we're providing care to others. Because believe me, the people around us know when we're feeling better physically and mentally too. Any questions or comments before we keep going?
If you're on the phone, please press *6. I have a website and can see that you have done that. If you're on Zoom, I believe you probably know how to get our attention.
And Myra and I were talking about a television show that had a great soundtrack, and that's what I was referencing earlier today. So you can find a playlist for that on Pandora, same on Spotify, and that's what I was working out to. But see how much fun we have talking about things that are pleasant. It tempers the experience of caregiving at times.
For sure. And I want to share that I live on the 11th floor, and I make it a point to walk down the stairs every single time, unless I have a bat, and try to go up as many floors as I can when I'm coming home. So it's the little things.
And going down the stairs actually is one of the best things you can do to improve your balance. Many people don't recognize that walking down the stairs, yes, it's not as vigorous from a cardio standpoint, but you actually build more muscle, especially in your bum.
That's great. Oh, that's good. Okay, so I want to talk about exercise and heart health. Your heart keeps your body running. As you grow older, some changes in the heart and blood vessels are normal, but others are caused by disease. So choices you might make every day, such as eating healthy, maintaining a healthy weight, and aiming to be more physically active, can contribute to heart health. And inactive people are nearly twice as likely to develop heart disease as those who are active. A lot of physical activity can worsen other heart disease risk factors as well, such as high blood cholesterol and triglycerin levels, high blood pressure, diabetes, and etc. So being overweight and obesity can do that as well. So being physically active is one of the most important things you can do to keep your heart healthy. According to the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, more than 60% of US women do not engage in the recommended amount of physical activity. More than 25% of US women are not active at all. That's pretty scary. So it's interesting that heart disease is so prevalent among older women. All right, really. I mean, before we used to think it's only a man's disease, but now we know that women are at high risk and many times are not even, they don't even identify that they have a heart condition by doctors. So weight-bearing exercise, which force you to work against gravity, such as walking, jogging, or dancing 3 to 4 times a week, are best for building muscles and strengthening your bones. So try some strengthening and balance exercise too to help avoid falls, which would cause a broken bone. Doing these exercises is good for bone health for people with osteoporosis and those who want to prevent it. Now, I want to tell you one of the things that I do, because I live in a country where there's winter, or maybe 6 months a year, and we have to wear boots. I don't sit down to put on my boots, even though it would be much better for me to sit down. I really want to maintain my balance. So I will take the time to put on my socks and my boots standing up. Sometimes I wobble and sometimes I don't. But I think it is so important to keep your balance and to do little tiny things. I know one of the things that Elliot did say was, even parking, you should park a little bit further away from where you're going to give you that little extra exercise.
Actually, one of the best ways that we can determine how good or bad our balance is the ease with which we can put on our underwear. If you need to hold on to something, if you can do that easily, and it's actually something that is good to keep in mind. I've noticed since doing Pilates, which focuses a lot on balance, for example, it's much easier for me than it was after my 2 knee surgeries, for example. So it is really important, especially for women and women living in the north, by the way, who have less exposure to sunlight. You get less vitamin D, there is a higher risk of osteoporosis. So all the more important to exercise. I bet some people didn't even think of geography and a link to osteoporosis with the sun. So it's very important that we get our vitamin D and certainly our calcium. Now, I have talked a lot about my knee surgeries because exercising with chronic pain is something that I have personal experience with. But I think is another barrier for a lot of people who feel that their pain precludes them from being able to exercise. And that can, of course, be the case, but it shouldn't. And all the more reason why it might be important to exercise. So speak with your doctor to see if physical therapy might be recommended, and if there are exercise routines that can be prescribed or recommended to help with pain management. Most people don't think about exercise as being important for pain management. We think about pills, but exercise can help a lot. And things like stretching, massage, for example, those can all be very helpful, especially for care recipients who might have chronic pain and who might lack mobility. Helping them to stretch their legs, to massage their muscles can be very helpful. So again, speak with the doctor to see what type of exercise might be best. It might be endurance exercise or strength training. It might be a focus on balance or flexibility, a combination of all of them. Each exercise has its own benefit. Now, we know exercise can also help you maintain a healthier body weight, which can relieve hip and knee pain. Putting on extra weight can also slow healing and make pain worse. So it's really important to listen to your body when you exercise. And as Myra shared earlier, listen to your body, don't overdo it. Don't hit the gym 7 days a week to start out with. I think that that's very sage advice, especially as we age and get older and have different health issues. That was one of the reasons I started to take up Pilates, because I heard that it was very good for my knee pain. And let me tell you, it is. So definitely avoid over-exercising on good days if you feel that. And if you have pain, swelling, or inflammation of a specific joint area, you might need to reshift your focus for a couple of days and work on something else. You may also want to try ice or heat. Again, Those are not pills, no medication, but ice or heat can be extremely helpful. I find for me personally, it's ice that is the magic. Ice is great for inflammation, for reducing inflammation. And if something hurts, seek medical advice always. It's important that we remember that pain rarely goes away overnight. In fact, exercising sometimes causes us to feel more pain. For example, if I work certain muscle groups that I haven't in a while, I feel it the next day, but we call that a good pain. So, definitely speak with your doctor and know that pain doesn't go away overnight, but exercise can certainly help. And as your pain lessens, you might also be able to become even more active. So I wanted to ask if anyone has any specific questions or comments. We seem to wrap up a little early today, which is okay. And Lucy and I will be staying on after the hour for an additional 30 minutes to answer any specific questions that people have or would like some specific advice about how to better engage in physical activity for themselves or their care recipient.
So if you're on the phone, press *6. I can see that you've opened your line. And if you're on Zoom, we'd love to hear from you. Okay.
My mom is stooping over chronically. What to do? So that's a good question, but I need a little bit more information, Diane. She has Parkinson's. Okay, thank you. So that issues with gait and posture are very common with Parkinson's. That is part of the disease progression. She also gave care for my dad and stooped over for years. So that might be just something that she is continued in terms of her gait or her posture. But it is very common for people with Parkinson's disease. And Lucy and I actually had a program addressing this last week about issues with gait and posture specific to Parkinson's, because April is Parkinson's Awareness Month. Unfortunately, that is something common. You might want to discuss this with your doctor. We had talked about some new medications on the market currently and some that are going to be approved in the next couple of months that have been helpful with symptom management. I hope that helps.
Sometimes physical therapy can help too.
Physical therapy can be great. There are some specific things that can be done. For example, standing near a wall and climbing your arm up the wall on both sides. That can be a good way of sort of lengthening your whole body. She's done PT, but doesn't do the exercises on her own. That happens so commonly. So you may want to get another referral for PT since we're in a new calendar year, if she hasn't already exhausted her PT benefits, and maybe stretch out those appointments. I know PT, usually they like for it to be done consistently over a short period of time, but given that your mom isn't doing the exercise on her own, it might be good to space that out more, maybe only go once a week instead of 2 or 3 times a week, and then have them reinforce as well the consistency in between visits that she does things on her own.
Elliot, you want to talk about your next 2 sessions?
Certainly. But first, I actually want to talk about the stretch that's on the screen here. If you can see it, it's a great one to do. It's okay. It's a great one to do. It's a great one to do in bed. I flipped it so that it looks like the person is standing. But laying down and bringing your knees to your chest is really a great way to stretch. You can also rock your body side to side in that position to help and stretch out your spine. We have some resources that I'm going to share here as well. And next week, our Health is Our Wealth program is going to focus on mental health, because without your mental health, you haven't got anything. And we know how very important mental health is. So we're going to talk about some of the issues related to addiction, related to how to achieve better mental health. And then the last in our series is going to focus on stress management. We know a lot of caregivers suffer from what is called caregiver burden or strain, which is another form of saying stress. We're going to talk about how to identify that and ways to help manage that.
Very good. Thank you. And I hope they're as fun as these two have been. They're really nice with all of the input from our participants. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Folks. Yes. So in a couple of days, you guys are going to get our post-session questionnaire, which we really hope you'll take seriously and give us some input because it helps us to improve our programming. If you have not registered for today's session, if somebody gave you the link or gave you the phone number, then you'll need to call our customer service representative. And Minerva's sending messages right now, but she is the customer service representative. And let me give you her phone number, 866-390-6491. And you will not only get registered, get the resources and the questionnaire from today, but you'll also get the monthly calendar, which has very many of these kinds of resources, topics that are so relevant for caregivers at any stage of the caregiving journey. So, oh, look, she's putting up her, thank you, Minerva, you're so good. Let me tell you about the sessions that we still have for this month. On Thursday, the 13th, is that tomorrow? It is. We have Dear Lucy, Dementia and Inappropriate Sexual Behaviors. On Tuesday, the 18th, we have Why Caregivers Should Confront, Not Avoid, a Dementia Diagnosis. And that's a really important one. On Thursday, the 20th, Dementia and Ambiguous Loss. Very interesting topic. Not sure I quite know what it means yet, but I will once I read it.
Well, it's an ambiguous title.
Yeah, that was good. Okay, and then on Thursday, April 27th, how to develop a growth-minded mindset as a caregiver with Jamie Heisman. Now, that's not actually what he's going to talk about. I'm sorry, I should have written that down. He did one last month at the end of the month on how to eliminate toxic people from your life. And he did a lot of explanation about, what was toxic, people who make you feel bad about yourself or make you dependent on them or, the kinds of things that aren't really healthy. And what he ended saying was that he needs to do another one because there were a lot of questions about people who have family who might be toxic. And what do you do with that? You don't want to eliminate family from your life. So I encourage you all to, especially if you heard the first one, to stay tuned on April 27th, for how to deal with toxic people when they're your family. And with that, I would like to thank Elliot, Lucy, and Myra for a beautiful job. Such a nice time today. Thank you so much. And I will, I'm going to stop the recording, but I want to first thank both our presenters and our caregivers for their participation, and the WellMed Charitable Foundation for all that they do for us and for their podcast. Please don't forget to go on there. As Myra said, boy, there's a big library of cool stuff there. So thank you for your participation and have a great day. And Elliot and Lucy will take you from here.
Thank you so much.
Evelyn, it's always a pleasure.